Hello. This is going to be a quick video today. Going to try to make it as quick as possible, but I'm going to tell you about the two stories that are just made to be in the elementary music room. All right, especially to get your students composing. We're going to talk about that right now because stories are just the perfect way to take all the fundamentals that you have been teaching your students and wrap them up into one beautiful bow. And what would make that bow even more beautiful than seeing your students compose on their own? Again, we're going to go over two stories. The first one I would definitely use for my littles, right? Kindergarten through first grade, called Up, Up, Down. This story is just wonderful. It's engaging, it's fun, it's interactive, and it's the perfect way to get your students practicing solfege. So I'm going to show you how I do that right now. All right, usually I have my smart board up in front of me, but I have done this on a projector. All right, what I do is I go ahead and I love to use animations from my Google Slides. If you're going to take these ideas and make your own, I encourage you to do it. It's the perfect way to get the student who maybe just needs a little bit of some refocusing, right? I'm looking for a student who is sitting up tall, whose eyes are on me, whose voice is off. Let's see who that is. Beautiful. Can you go tap where fives, right? It's the perfect way to give your students a little bit of classroom candy just by adding these animations. Again, I don't do anything fancy, but it is so easy and such an effective way to say, all right, everybody, show me the hand sign for fa. Show me the hand sign for sol. Easy, effective, so engaging, and then you have them sing it up. Do, re, mi, fa, so. I have a story for you. I always like to sing a little bit just beforehand. It gets my students excited and it's quick, and now my students come to expect it, where if I start a story immediately and I don't say, I have a story for you, I will tell you, I'll tell you true, then my students actually get a little mad at me. It's, again, just part of their routine where if they comes a story, add a little bit of magic. What's your magic? All right, I have a story for you about a little girl who likes to climb things. And when she climbs, she goes really, really high. Again, I like to have the solfege a little bit mixed up. I find that it gets my students not so focused on, well, it has to start on do, right? Getting a little mixed up. And then singing up, 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 up. If they have something to focus on instead of just singing, like their hands, whatever they're moving, they are going to be less stressed when it comes to singing, right? But sometimes when Anna climbs something high, what do you think happened? She falls down. And when she falls down, maybe she hits her head. So she's going to go ahead and say, again, adding in that solfege, ow, 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 ow. So fun, so engaging, and it's going to go along with the entire story. So again, with this story, I would really encourage you, go to your local library. This picture book is everywhere. Grab it online, right? However you can support these absolutely amazing authors who we love to bring into our lessons. It is on YouTube as well if you're in a pinch, but I would definitely suggest you either purchasing or renting the book for sure. All right, for today's example, we're gonna go ahead and show you how even the way the words look shows solfege, shows pitches going up, 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 fall down, ow, 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 ow. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just even having that little bit of a representation, oh my goodness, it makes it just that much more. All right, but Anna doesn't listen when her mommy says, be careful, don't climb. I like to do that because using high voice to show mommy is going to be giving them a bit more of a visual when I'm talking about high and low later on, right? Anna doesn't listen. She again does it. Up, 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 fall down. She lands on her tummy. Oh, 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 oh. So fun for your students, right? Her father comes in, be careful, don't climb. Again, doing that because you're going to need high and low later, right? Then Anna comes to a tree. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and check out what that's going to mean for Anna for the rest of the story. Go check it out. So much fun. Such an easy way to bring those few pitches that we talked about, but have your students having that exciting and engaging lesson. Oh, so fun. Oh, so fun. Again, this is about composing though, right? So in this one alone, we've gone over pitches, high and low, and we've gone over solfege. Now we really only need pitches in order to get your students composing, right? Again, we're talking about littles. This is their first introduction to composing. How can we do that in a way that's simple and easy for them to understand? All right, what animal might we see in the sky, right? Oh, we're gonna see our bird. All right, what animal might we see down low in the sea? Well, we're gonna see our fish, right? Now, taking those, whenever we're talking about high sounds, we're going to use bird as our representation. And you can also talk about, well, who was high in our story? Was it mommy or daddy? Mommy, good job, right? All right, same with low sounds. Who did that sound like? Now, what I like to do is I like to go around the room, all right, just get my students experiencing the different high and low sounds. But then what I like to do is I like to make small pitch patterns, right? So, and I also like to incorporate their movement because a moving body is a learning body. So standing up tall on their tiptoes for high, high, like the bird. Low, low. That would be this first one, all right? Mixing up high, low, low, high. Okay. Then having your students create their own, right? So fun, so engaging. I like to go ahead and, tell my students that they have a couple rules that they have to follow. All right. They can only have 4 animals in total. Right. Those animals don't have to be in a specific order, but you can't have your compositions looking like this, where you have birds sitting on fish. The fish don't like when the birds sit on them. That's how I say it. All right. And we're also not talking about chords for this composition assignment. Right, so 4 animals in total to make yours. And then if you have a digital assignment, then it can look something like this. I make it so that my students can't actually touch this part. All right, again, I do nothing fancy, but I do things that, I know that as a music teacher, they'll need. All right, I put the bird, I put the fish. My students can do this themselves, tapping a bird and tapping a fish. Just say they want to do high, low, low, low. They can make their own composition. Now, there's 2 ways that I do this. All right. I've been in a school where they had their own Chromebooks. That was very easy. Then I just went ahead and made exactly what you see in front of you, but for each of them, right? I've also done it a not so easy way. All right. And I'll show you what that means here too. So what I did is I took birds and fish, I printed them out, I laminated them, I cut them up, and then I put some Velcro on the back. Then I printed and laminated just this one sheet in front of you so that there is a bar in the middle so that they don't get their highs and their lows mixed up. All right. I only had to do this one time. I made over 40. And yes, it did take me a while. Did I have to do it again after that? No, I didn't have to do it one more time. So it was simple. It was effective. I did use it for at least 5 years at my previous school. Again, now where I'm at, I can use Chromebooks. So making ones for each of my students. I didn't have to make physical copies, but it worked perfectly. It really, really did. It worked fantastically. And my students loved playing with the Velcro. So you know what? I thought it was great. I thought it was fun. This is a wonderful way to get your students composing in the most basic way possible, right? This is when you're just getting those first couple data pieces in, where your students are just starting to really being able to sit and focus up. Kindergarten, first grade. This next lesson that we're going to talk about is for students who are ready for a little bit more of a challenge. Real quick, if you are looking to bring some springtime lessons into your classroom along with these wonderful activities, go ahead and sign up for your free month of the Soaring Scarves Academy, where you have some wonderful springtime lessons like the Very Hungry Caterpillar, the Nest That Robin Built, Bumblebee's Busy Day, and so much more in our full kindergarten through 8th grade curriculum. We also post 3 new lessons every single month on the 2nd Friday. So go ahead and check those out. You can also, while you're there, check out our professional development, over 20 plus hours of PD made for music educators by music educators with relevant topics for us. Not ready to watch hours and hours worth of content? No worries, we got you covered. With our 5-week course, we went ahead and divided these professional development segments into small, easy to understand clips with workbooks for each week. You can also check out our moving assessments, where we gather the data that we know that we need, but in a way that is fun and engaging for our students. You can also check out our pre-recorded movement breaks, a way to bring more movement into your classroom routine in a way that is fun and engaging for your students. And of course, what we are known for, you can check out the Soaring Scarf dances, where we combine classical music and the fundamentals of music. Want to talk about tempo and articulation? Johann Brahms' Hungarian Dance No. 5 is a great way to do that. Either learn with me in a teacher breakdown or have your students follow along in our follow-alongs. All these you can try out for 1 free month, and if you don't love it after a month, no worries, you will not be charged. Simply click the link in the description, scroll on down, and start your free month trial today. Let's get back to the activities. The second story is called The Listening Walk. Again, whoever, the author, Paul Showers, he must have made this knowing that it was going to be used by music educators. There's no part of my mind that doesn't think this, because dynamics are throughout this. Tempo is throughout this. Pitch. is throughout this in the most beautiful way with the most beautiful pictures. I like to take walks. I take walks with my father and dog. Our dog is called Major. He's an old dog and he does not walk very fast. Tempo was in the first paragraph. The first, what is that? Four sentences. First four sentences, and there's already a little bit of an aspect of tempo. We go down the street, we do not talk. My father puts his hands in his pocket and thinks. Major walks and sniffs. I keep still and listen. I call this a listening walk. On a listening walk, I do not talk. I hear so many different sounds when I do not talk. Now, what I've gone ahead and done is I've made a digital and a printable assessment that go along with all the different things that this lovely little girl hears on her listening walk with her dad and her dog, Major. Okay, there are so many different options. I'm just going to show you some of the different ways that I've taken this beautiful, beautiful book and put it into an assessment that my students can first follow along with me and then make their own compositions at the end. All right. I always have my students go through a quick review on dynamics. I have them go through a quick review on tempo, but then we are off to the races. Now, what's great about this is you don't have to read the whole book and then do the assessment, right? These two go hand in hand, and they really should. All right. So again, you're either doing the digital assessment that comes with this, or you're doing the printable, or you're making your own, right? I do love how easy it is to grab data while reading this absolutely beautiful book. All right, so one of the sounds that you hear are two different types of sprinklers. One is held and sustained, and one spurts. Those are the sounds that I hear when I read these words. All right, which rhythm goes with which sound? So if they're doing the written one, well, then they're just dragging, right? They're just drawing a line to the right one. But if they have the digital, then they have to drag it. All right, again, trying to make it so that, you know, they're not able, oops, that's what happens. They're not actually able to touch anything else accidentally. All right, only what they should be able to touch. All right, so the and the, all right, you're able to talk about the difference between those sustained notes and those held notes in such an easy to understand way. All right, same with the dynamics. Okay, how did the new car sound in the book versus the old car? Where would you put that in the dynamics, right? Some articulation was even in this. Oh my goodness, the tring tring of the girl on her bicycle versus the dum 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 of the boy with his basketball. The airplane flying overhead and the baby wailing, wah, wah, having this conversation with your students. What do you think? Which one feels staccato? Which one feels legato? Can you switch it? Can you imagine it in a different way? Oh, it's so fun. Oh, I'm telling you, this book was just made for music educators. A lady hurries by as she's wearing high heels, right? She hurries by. Well, what tempo would that most match to? Bus is coming. The lady starts to run. The bus stops. The bus starts up again, right? Which of these tempos goes with which of the different sections of the woman's journey, right? So easy, so effective. Can the students create their own rhythm with one of the sounds they hear? Can the students add different dynamics, right? Can the students hear the different bird calls and drag it to the dynamic that makes the most sense? Can they drag the different articulations, a leaf falling, a woodpecker, all of these things? And then at the end of the story, can they listen to their own? I have done this by taking my students outside on a beautiful first spring day. I have, in fact, a whole video on all the activities I love to take my students on when the weather is just starting to get nice. There's a whole bunch. Go ahead, check it out for yourself, of all the different ways that I'm lucky enough where I get to have class outside. But it's also just some great fun springtime activities. So go ahead and check that out. But what do you hear? What's that sounds dynamic? What's that sounds articulation? Giving your students this autonomy to make their own decisions. It's so key. It's so important. It's just another way to get them ready to make their own composition. Does the sound have a rhythm? Write it here. And they don't just have to do it this one time. You can do it as many times as you want. Does it have a tempo? Does it have a pitch? All right. I've had my students make this into a full composition assignment by then adding pitches to it. Right. Again, going from just a high low to actually some rhythms, right? So powerful, so effective. Would these really be used for, you know, a middle schooler composing? Of course not, right? This is my students' first steps into composing, and I find it so easy and so magical. and such a beautiful way to gather the data I need while also giving them an experience that they will absolutely love. So again, I have these assessments. You can check them out for yourself. You can make these yourself, right? But just getting your students composing and having an absolutely beautiful time in your classroom. I think that is definitely the most important thing for all of this. All right. I want to thank you so much for watching along with me, and we'll catch you next time. All right. Happy play.